Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Immersive Arts LARP chat Twitch stream. We are here talking to a couple of members of the Battlegames community, and we are going to be talking about how to find story and character and plot in the Battlegames. Immersive Arts Melbourne are a group of LARP writers and event managers who want to help more LARPs happen, who love the LARP medium as an art form, and who love all the LARP mediums, but one of the things I don't do very much is turn up and fight in big shield walls. So I thought I'd invite some other people to talk to us about that. Mish, why don't you introduce yourself? Dr. Gob, introduce yourself, please.
My name is Madeline, actually.
Madeline? Wow, that's embarrassing.
Close enough. Hey,
sorry, Maddie. I've had you as Mish in my head for like 6 months now.
I'm going to add that to the nickname pile. But
Yeah.
no, I'm Maddie, also known as Mads.
Sorry,
I am a sword crafter. I've been in swordcraft for 3 years now, and I am one of the two ICs of the Shields of Paravon, one of the warbands there.
Fantastic. And also, Steve, can you introduce yourself?
This is a great rolling game. My name is Brett or Robert, but I have a variety of different names depending on what LARP people are associated with, so that's not anyone's fault, Josie, do not worry at all. I have the delightful job/burden/hobby of being the head of national story for Swordcraft across all of its chapters. But I've been a member of the Melbourne chapter, I think 12 or maybe 13 years, a terrifying long time. And I have seen various versions of that game and many other of the battle games that have come to both Victoria and Australia in general, which are a whole lot of fun.
Awesome. Oh my god, I've completely thrown myself. I'm sorry, Matt.
That's okay.
Okay.
It's a good start.
Hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm an Arakocra judge. Okay. I'm Josie. I have been LARPing for a long time. I have been to some battle games. One of the stories I like to tell is that before Swordcraft launched, one of the things they did is they came to my backyard and learned how to fight swords with some of my friends. And we all told them that they were dumb and that a weekly game would never work. That there weren't enough LARPers in Victoria to run a weekly game of any kind. And so that makes it's fun to know. Grateful that we were wrong, because it's been a huge outgrowth in community. One of the things that I have often struggled with is that I sort of have fun turning up and hitting people or hanging out with people, getting dressed up and playing wacky bats, but it's very difficult for me to find a character or to get into character when the only interaction that I can find is sort of sportish or gamish. And so I thought I would ask you guys, how do you make a character that can thrive in battle game environments, and how do you make a character that sort of exists in those environments? Anyone can start.
Fair enough. I truthfully haven't taken the field for probably like 4 or 5 years, to knee reconstructions and then just being a busy man trying to run the game. from a story perspective alongside our amazing event team means that if I am in any form of kit before 11, that's a successful win for me for most of the events. But when I did, it was predominantly a combination of the social components that these types of battle games really afforded. Like you would get together with a group of friends and you would essentially have the opportunity just to run around being a bit of a goose, whether it's on a Friday level, or whether it's obviously being in character in any of our events or other events as well, like Drakenfest and Exodus and a few others as well that I've had the opportunity to kind of dabble with. The character always came afterwards of what my intent was when I was going to that event. It would be about, okay, how do I wish to fight? Then how would that blend into a fun little character that would fit that kind of methodology? Then sometimes that changed over time and the character would change based off of different styles of fighting that emerged or different types of weapons or how horrible you found out you were at something and you shot your friends continuously in the back of the head with a bow and arrow. Decided that you probably shouldn't do that anymore. But I've always found the character part to a battle game is secondary to the social part, which is a really weird way to think of a battle LARP. And something that we continuously talk about all the time at Swordcraft is how do we make sure we mesh all of those things together.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah. I would say, I mean, I've only really done Swordcraft, but I have a similar experience in that when after I started and survived new player training and found people who didn't hate me and got into it, when going into thinking, all right, I need a character. I think where I started was in costuming more than anything. And just like being like, all right, I like, similar to you, like how I like to fight is a big part of it, but also just, well, I'm going to start with a costume because that already makes me feel like I'm this person. And then starting simple, like I started out as just a peasant, everyone's favorite peasant, as I always say. And basically going from there and seeing what crazy things you could get into with a few set traits, which were basically illiteracy, stubbornness, and vague annoyance. And the answer is quite far, as it turns out. So I think going in, because it is ultimately, I guess, in a sense, secondary to the battle component. In events, obviously, the story gets bigger, but yeah, you sort of start more vague and then you socialize with people, you have silly things happen, you make a mistake, and then you have a character all of a sudden. Somehow.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Okay, so as a side note, we did invite people from a couple of other battle games as well. It's an accident that it was just Swordcraft that was able to turn up. But I guess my question goes, okay, so we can look at starting with fighting style first. We can look at starting with costume first, or a couple of character traits. Did either of you think about, I mean, I guess can we start with Warband first?
You definitely could, like, depending on the way in which you're approaching it, especially coming out of new player training. Like, I remember doing that when we were at Royal Park, and it was an absolutely wild time of, you'd go in, there's an enormous amount of people on field, and you're just thrown into a meat grinder, and it was a good luck, have fun type approach. And that's where I made some thick friends, some fast enemies, which was a wild kind of balance of it. And then all of a sudden, you're finished your new player training of 2 weeks of a rotation, and it's okay, how do I progress from here? What do I do? And one of the things that Swordcraft has been doing recently, which is fantastic, is obviously getting all of the warband leaders together much more specifically towards the end to start introducing who their groups are, kind of their styles are, what their flavors are, which is really, really exciting. Where it used to be just kind of someone pointing in the middle of like, oh, those guys over there, they're the Guardians. Those people over there, they're the North. These people over here, they're the Order. And it'd be much less about how they fought and what they did, and just kind of a general introduction and your recollection of how much they trounced you on the field or how much they saved you, depending on how new players was. And it was that kind of, oh yeah, I like the look, and a costume was a really good kind of pulling force straight away. So it's like, oh, they kind of look like high fantasy knights. That's a great vibe. I'm going to go over there. Or it was, oh, they're Vikings, and that was a really interesting kind of concept, and that was something that looked really fun to do. And then you kind of got a hybridization of the approach. It wasn't just the costume, but it was what the costume allowed you to do on the field at the same time.
Yeah. How did you pick Paravan, Mats?
Well, it was actually a bit of a coincidence in the end. So it was when I started and I did my new players training, I was most struck by I think it was the Crimson Hand, actually, because I had a lovely little duel with Mark, who's a wonderful person. And then I ended up, after touring with, I think it was Zinkari first, toured with them for a little bit, and then a friend of mine who had started a little early was like, oh, I'm going to tour with Paravon, you should join in with them, they seem really nice. And so I ran with them, and I discovered that they were all very cool people. And as it happens, because at the time we're a Warhammer fantasy LARP, I am a massive Warhammer nerd. And I'm like, Bretonnian models are cool. I can do stuff with this. This will be fun. And I enjoy insulting the French by abusing their accents. Therefore. And that's kind of how it happened. It was just sort of like a bit of a random chance that a friend ended up talking to them one night and said, oh, you should come tour so you can play with me. And
Yeah.
it just kind of happened by random. And then, then I met many other warbands who are wonderful as well. And yeah. But now I really like the way the new play talks are going at the start now, because it makes it so much easier. As someone who's like giving some of those chats, it definitely gives them a lot more direction, and then we can tell them a bit more about the actual process of, you know, what you do after the new players night, because there's a lot of confusion of how do I talk to these people in weird armor that I don't really remember their names. I just remember that he had a huge halberd. Oh no.
Yeah.
It kind of makes it easier that way.
It does. But also, I don't know, like, when it's I think every warband I've ever been part of, I've been part of because a friend of mine was like, hey, come and do this thing with me. And I've never lasted very long because I'm not good at doing what people tell me. But or I don't know, turning up weekly or whatever. But also, I think that if we go, well, you basically pick, you can pick for whatever reason, and you'll probably be fine. But then you sort of go, okay, so you've got your warband or your group or your army, and then you go, okay, what role do I want to take within that? Is that?
Yeah, that's definitely one of the ways to do it. Like, it starts off pretty easily of, this is kind of what I think I'm going to be comfortable with trying, and there's the ranges of, I have this skill already as a life skill. I'd like to try that in a fighty way. Or it's that looks really cool. I want to learn how to do that. And someone going, probably don't start with that straight away, because it's a thing you have to learn how to do. Or sometimes it's whatever is available and whose car was able to fit the right weapons at the time.
Yeah.
Like I have, as a man who is driving a big four-wheel drive to carry greyhounds around, quite often was trapped for a very long time, leaving all of the pikes in my garage. So that was quite often the weapons of choice for a whole lot of myself and my friends. And then I was like, they don't fit for the rules anymore. We're going to all gravitate to single sword and board for at least a month. And it was a chaos time. But it's a really interesting dynamic where you can come in with something you like, and you will love that, or you will quite easily find that, that's enjoyable, but only when other people are there in your warband who fight the way that you do or fight with you in that way. And then all of a sudden, how you fight might not mesh with everyone else if certain people are missing. So you try something else. And warbands are really good to allow that flexibility too.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's very fun to try the new weapon styles and see what you fit with or don't fit with. And I don't know, it's also, I think, the way you end up using it, like with the warband style, Like if you enjoy being more aggressive on field, you discover you really like to get in the fight, or if you prefer to let the waves break on you, or if you want to be in the back yelling encouragement and telling people where to go. I think that's also a way you kind of start to narrow in on what your character could be, because ideally it should align what you also can do in battle, because it's determined a bit by your own abilities. It's like why my character is a bard amongst other things is because I can allegedly play several instruments. And I use a spear because I think it's very funny to whack people with one. It turns out I'm very good with long stick, and that's I think a great basis for a character.
Yeah. And then so once you've got your sort of idea of your place in the world and your place in your group and what you're gonna wear, and then I think your terrible French taunt accent, if you want to put that in.
I'm not sure I want it recorded, to be honest. It's pretty wretched.
You've got the script if you want.
Oh no, we'll get done for hate speech in New South Wales.
We can't take Bretonians anywhere. We just take each other on. That's the problem. The accents get worse the longer the LARP goes on, and by the end, our throats are fried.
Yeah, my favourite was always the mash of accents. Anytime you got multiple groups together with shifts, it just became the most horrendous blur. It was disgusting.
Yeah, and trying to maintain like an accent from a particular part of like the UK or whatever. You're like, oh yeah, no, I'm Northern Welsh, and then you're like, now I'm Scottish, and now I'm a New Zealander.
Yeah, that was essentially my Dance of Ribbons journey. I started the first day Irish, and then within Saturday morning, all of a sudden, like most of Hathaway was like weird Scottish people for a while, which was great.
Yeah, we all became weird Scottish people.
Yeah,
it's just automatic. I don't
it's just
know
an
why.
Infectious accent.
It is an infectious accent, but so maybe you put in an accent, maybe you don't, and then you pick a couple of traits, right? And you're like, I'm going to be independent and aggressive. I'm going to be stubborn and illiterate. I'm going to swear.
Sadly, no longer illiterate.
What? Why not?
There was a crossbow involved.
Weird thing to turn someone literate, really.
Well, I wasn't the only one either. That was the funny part.
Crossbow of literacy.
The crossbow of literacy.
Amazing. I just want to show
sponsored by the Shields of Paravon.
Picture of Bretonians playing football.
Of course.
Yes.
Superb.
The question. So, I think there's a lot of, but like that's the thing, right? Where you start off with your extremely rules-based, hang out with your friends type person, and then by inhabiting that person, they grow and change. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Like, even without attending the longer form event days, like Swordcraft has always tried to do some form of connected narrative or connected story, whether it was our Sagas game and the iterations before Sagas and that, where there was battle maps and all these types of crazy things and moving pieces. That was
Please
very
don't remind me of the battle maps.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. I've watched real friendships crash and burn in real life at some of these events based off of those outcomes. But the way that we've always kind of felt, or at least I've felt kind of characters and seen characters emerge, is the evolution of how these groups have found their identity, or identity has been defined for them. You look at older iterations of warbands that have existed and then kind of fallen apart. Their play style, how they were costumed, what they did on a Friday night, led to those kind of characteristics that then started defining those players. So it wasn't just, I'm going to join the North because they look like Vikings. I'm going to go join the North because they're a group that will split, and half of them will rush and they'll fight, and that'll be their super aggressive, super kind of very light fighters that'll be very quick, very action, but they'll shout, they'll have fun, they'll be very kind of crazy acting. And then there's the more reserved group that'll be still part of that warband, but functions in a different way. Or you're looking at someone like the Sekonze warband that came out of a different other warband as well, and that was all about shock and awe tactics of heavy hitting with pikes and sword and board to protect those people. And then as those styles came into play, people started to attribute certain behaviors and attitudes towards the people as characters. They either reinforce them or they challenge them, which is the beauty of LARP. If someone says, oh, you're that person and you did this, you were really good in that fight, you respond. And the way that you can respond in character is you either reinforce that and you can kind of play into that and you can lean into that, whether you're a chivalrous person or an absolute rapscallion and a backstabber, or you challenge their assertion in a yes and kind of generous play style, and it gives you a really fun opportunity to do that. And then that gets that even further opportunity at long form events for you to really lean into those kind of characteristics.
No, I think it does present you those opportunities of once you've got core ideals as well. It's like you can just apply them. And I find like the good advice I got when I started was to pick not just a trait, but like a quirk, just one. Like never refuses a drink, always calls people their friend regardless of actual, friendliness. Yeah. Something like that. It's just like something you can latch onto and use to, iterate on why you're doing it. And you can change that, of course, and why they do it. And go away, but I don't know, it makes you memorable as well, which means you get friends and more people to interact with.
Yeah. Which then reinforces or challenges the character. And I sort of really like that thing of going, okay, here's the basic concept, and then every time your character does something, go, okay, apparently this person I'm inhabiting is the kind of person who does that. And then you follow from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, the first... I don't know. I wrote a character called Shu, who existed for the touring company, which was just an excuse for Gareth and I to turn up and we trained people. We would do sword fight training off to the side, and then we would come in and claim people from different warbands to come and fight with us, and then they would come and do 6 weeks with the touring company, and then we'd send them back to wherever they came from, which was all just an excuse so that Gareth and I could come play, but we didn't have to take orders from Adam or Tim or whatever. And so... But when we were doing, and so I'm like, okay, that's who this guy is. He's independent. He trains people. He likes a two-handed weapon because I don't like wearing armor or running.
Yeah.
And so I was like, cool, there's my plan. And then when we got to one of the Swordcraft quests where Gareth was running it, and all of a sudden I didn't have a company, I'm like, okay, so all I am is fiercely independent. And then I had to work out the rest of the character from there. You know, okay, I'm the kind of person who does those things. Which means that I'm going to do this and this and this. Which means when given the chance to surprising amounts of power and the vote to see who wins, I vote for myself, even though I have no chance of winning. And that's how that... And then whoever... essentially throwing the vote away. But, that didn't matter, because the point was the independence. Right? And then you're okay, now we know something about that person.
I guess it's one of those things where we always want to, and I know Lou, our media person, is always trying to advertise people just to get involved in whatever capacity they wish, whether it's the super fighty side, which is the real sports side of it, and providing that type of game model is always tricky because there's groups that don't want to come and do the super competitive. They want to arrive every Friday and have a fight because that's a fantastic experience for some people, whether it's a social component, whether it's a social and a fitness component, or whether it's I am the best at pretend swords and someone else is that pretend swords. And that's okay. And it's catering for all of those things at the same time, which is one of the trickiest components that I know the Melbourne committee is always kind of discussing is how do we make sure everyone's always enjoying themselves, and it's never perfect.
No,
but that's the nature of the thing.
The story of the donkey and the old man and the anyway.
Tilting at windmills, as they would say.
Yes.
And it's just that kind of way of making sure that there's as many access points as possible. And whether you've phrased it perfectly, it's someone coming in and going, oh, I want to do a thing with my friend and help provide a service, or I'm going to volunteer part of my time and then enjoy part of my time. And then how that evolves into how we get all of the amazing people that are making Swordcraft what it is today, with people in leadership positions with warbands or new warbands popping up all the time. It's one of those components that we really enjoy seeing what people want to do so that we can try and respond to that by having more of those types of things within our game.
Yeah. Matt?
Yeah, there's always opportunity to do both. Like, by having more options, like, I think you can... There's often weird overlaps in interests. Like, I'm also part of the Northern Free Traders, and whilst as a warband we're very competitive, we like to win and really try and do that, we also, in the nicest possible way, we want to kick the other side's ass. But we also really enjoy making cool kit and getting into character and like making money at Quest in order to spend it on frivolous things and making taverns. It's like you get those fun, combinations of things. Like at last Sudenburg Quest, a few of my friends, they ran the Pink Pony Inn one evening, which was delightful.
Incredible.
The Ghost of Chapelle du Rhône was in the air that night, sponsored by the Scourge of Mousillon, TM. And you might not expect, if you just had a LARP that was like all hyper competitive, like it's Jugger at that point, hitting with whack and bat.
Yeah.
You would lose the fun of also, getting to at the end have a wild party dressed in silly kit, or to do silly role plays in the middle of field when you should be doing something more important.
Yeah, I mean, if you want pure competition, you should be at HEMA instead, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but there's also, even across Australia, there's a lot of LARPs that are reorientating themselves to be like huge focused on battle LARPs. And I think that's a beautiful thing. Like my favorite statement is more LARP is more good, and that's regardless of the style or the form or the length of those LARPs. It's irrelevant. It just means that there's something for everyone to kind of sink their teeth into. And Swordcraft at its core is always a battle game. That's how we started, as you found out in your backyard. And it's just about the evolving kind of methodology of what our players want. Like we found during and post COVID that a lot of that intensity and a need for the win in a battle to biggest and the best of the draw cards for events kind of shifted and diluted into more of that social side of it. It's still there and it's still a huge focus. It's just now there's wrapped in that kind of story component to help those battles make sense, rather than I'm going to go kick your gate in, I'll see you in 2 hours when you come kick my gate in. Those were great fights, and I have had some of the most amazing sieges of my life at a combination of like Landa Park and Mafeking. But it's one of those things where those were the Swordcraft of those times, and now we're in a kind of a different iteration.
It's a different
just
place.
As wild. Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. Changing so much now as well, not only with the new story direction, but trying new ways of doing it to see if it's, more fun or includes more people or solves some, issues. It's good, I think. It's like, it might not work, but like, I don't know. It might. I think it's cool. I don't know. Like, ultimately, I get to hit people, and that makes me happy. So I think ultimately we're all winning.
Winning is winning, as the Sal used to say. Cloudy AJJ would very much like to hear you taunt the French, please.
I get to taunt the French. Your father was a hamster and your mother smelled elderberries. There you go. Terrible. I'm barely comprehensible.
It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be done.
It's
Demands of chat, as they would say.
The demands of chat.
All hail chat.
All hail chat. All hail demands. As fucking hell. Okay, so we have the delightful. A lot of the time, if you are building your character and you're like, I'm going to be a character and I'm going to be this person. If you are at sort of a Dance of Ribbons or you're at Deadline or whatever, then it's likely that most of the conversations you have with other people are in character and they're related to the plot and the story. If you are at a Friday night battle game, it's likely the vast majority of conversations you have will not be in character. And if you're at a quest, I actually haven't been to quest for a decade now. I did go to a lot of them, but not for the recent ones, so I can't speak on that. But I imagine, I don't know how much of that is in character, but the question that I'm trying to get to is, how do you sort of maintain a persona and a character that you're trying to play when it feels like the people around you aren't?
I think it's a bit of a tricky part, depending on personal and warband choice. I've seen a lot of warbands over the last while or so. They'll be in character the whole time. That's part of their rules for quest, and that's how they approach that event. Whereas others, very specific literal line marked in their camp, where this is our in-character zone and this is our out-of-character zone. And both of those are fundamentally amazing because it allows those warbands to choose how they wish to approach those events, which is really good. And then that second part of the question is much more fun because I really enjoy trying to break a lot of friends when I'm in character and break them out of character. There's a couple of interactions that the rare moments I get to be in character at quest is obviously my little guard captain who does absolutely nothing except just runs around checking on people and asking if they're okay in character. Except whenever he runs across a couple of his friends in a warband known as the Brass Cockerels, which are some close friends of mine, and we will just have the most asinine bullshit conversations of just polar opposite sides of the rules and just see who can get the other person to break first. And if anyone else walks past that, it looks like absolute bullshit and no one wants to be involved in it because it's horrible. But for the couple of us that are involved, absolute shenanigans.
Having a great time.
And then one person will break, it'll be a laugh, and we go back to doing something else. And it's just those kind of experiences to what you want to get out of being in that character. And that might be shouting orders whilst you're at battle. And I know some of my friends do that on a Friday. They'll hard into character on a Friday. They will shout in their French accents and jump across water and try and beat the absolute piss out of people. And that's a lovely thing, but I'm never going to do that in my life. I'm well too tired in general, let alone trying to do accent stuff. And it kind of really boils down to that. What do you want to do at a Friday and at an event, and what do you want to be that consistency for yourself? What can be manageable?
Yeah, definitely. I think Friday night, obviously, we get very competitive and we want to communicate clearly. But when it comes to, the whistle's blown, you're on field, it can be fun, even if you're mostly out of character, just do something silly and in character, like calling a random duel in the middle of field against someone who slighted you last quest is a great time and very entertaining for all. And not everyone is into that, but I think the best way to keep character is just to keep at it, because if nothing else, either you're in character, which you're winning, or the other person gets embarrassed and goes into character, and then you're winning even more.
Yeah.
And that's kind of if you're being silly, they want to be silly. And I think on Friday nights it's good to cultivate that kind of air of, it's, yes, we want to be competitive, but you can be a bit silly as well. You can yell your catchphrase and jump across water. You can do the silly things like the orcs do with their conga line, and that's good.
Mm.
And then a quest, I think with quest, the amount of character time you spend depends a little bit on how long the quest is, because it takes you a while to get into character, usually like the first day or something. And then as the week goes on, you get tired and maybe drunk, and
Or
it will
both.
waver a little, or both. Pocket Stars, do what makes you happy, but it might waver at point, or like in plenty of warbands, you might have, in the food tent, out of character because we're tired,
Yeah.
or like past this hour, stop going ha ha ha, I need to sleep. It's a common complaint. That kind of
The
thing
consistent
of,
issue of loud ho ho ho's.
you can hear us all coming. Truly disgusting. I'm ashamed of us all. Good job.
You shouldn't be. It's a great calling card. It's like, oh, they're coming down the road. I'm just going to walk in the other direction. I don't want to be involved in that at
diffuses the
11:30 at night. Yeah.
No.
A really gregarious there's a me like in the middle of the road diffuses the other side really fast.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, but no,
That's
I think
right.
just trying to keep your own silliness going. It's like finding your own joy, even if maybe you drop the accent, okay, but like you're still finding your happiness. And when some other people see you, sorry, I just saw the ominous scoffing. Yeah, like when you see your friend having fun, you want to have fun, and then it just gets going and it snowballs something amazing, and then at the end you can kiss and make up after all the horrible things you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's also part of the events in regards to like some of the, like obviously Quest and some of the other Soulcraft events, even if they're like the 3 days to 5 days or even like a day game. The nature of that pacing, as Maddie said, also allows you to have that kind of cognitive thought process in your own brain as the player versus the kind of character. And you're like, oh, I know that things are going to get more intense after the rest days that are usually the Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Yes.
Whereas we flip to a lot of our experiences, Joes, with Dance and Ribbons. The moment they say go,
it's intensity immediately.
it's intense
right?
at the time. People are screaming and dying around you. The game starts. And it's the shift of what those types of LARPs allow, but also kind of cultivate with their own kind of cultures.
Yeah.
We literally try, and when we're looking at developing story for these types of events, whether it's Melbourne or other chapters, it's kind of looking at, okay, how can we accommodate what our players expect for our story, but also how do we manage that general fatigue and what they would like to do during those events. And then the real world stuff of is that, we know that there are a chunk of people that work during the week and haven't been able to get Quest off, and they're going to come up during the weekend. So we want to make sure that we've got big biffs and that type of stuff there to kind of celebrate for those people too.
Hit hard Friday night, Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we're developing our character. It's we've worked out when we want to be in and when we want to be out, where we can be in and where we can be out. We've got a sort of a place that we're from. How much does the setting matter? And when the setting gets deleted and we write a new setting, how much do you make?
Very non-specific example.
No, not at all.
I'm just saying, every fucking
hypothetically,
every fucking battle game seems to redo its entire setting 3 times a year. Sorry.
Oh, I got die.
No, I'm kidding. No. So how much does setting matter to who your character's going to be? How much does that person? How much you need to read? How much you need to pay attention to the setting?
I've obviously got a very skewed response because obviously I haven't actually played since like 2018 Soulcraft is a character. So, and obviously the bias involved of trying to build said world, but my goal is for it to be as easily entry as possible. Like we've farmed out like a quick link to everything that's been released, and there's a couple of things that are working in the back end to like a big book with all of the information and wiki pages and all that type of thing. But I think Maddie phrased it really before. If you pick a character and you've got a kind of a trait and a quirk and a place that gives you enough kind of vagaries, that's fantastic for some players. If people want to come in with a 30-page kind of dossier of their backstory, of who they are, the old classic D&D kind of trope, that also exists for LARP, and that's okay. But it depends on the social spaces for how that works. Like if you're coming
Yeah.
in and you're like, ah, I am this super amazing hunter of monsters and I have done all of these amazing things, and you come in with some friends and they're like, that's just Steve, he lies. Don't listen to him. That's a great experience. And
Oh,
that's everything that matters.
I might do that to
Yes.
someone, to be honest.
I
You
actually kind of
you
love
should.
that.
Like Sylvie
I have done
behavior.
that at different LARPs. It's a great time.
That sounds like a really good time.
Yeah, I think it depends on how you go into it, because I know, like for my character, like my primary character, she is ultimately kind of a simple concept, and so it's not too hard to adapt the story I came up with her eventually and everything connected to it, to adjust it a little bit and change some names, and it kind of still works, even if some of the details are now a little bit different. Like, you know, the peasant abuse makes less sense in this new setting, which I'm grateful for. Yeah, you know, I can have
It
less
did
boot
get
marks
pretty
on my
rough
circo.
on the peasants for a while.
Yeah.
I've heard of the
Warhammer is an intense
sackcloth,
time.
Yeah.
and I was determined. One of my outer character goals was determined that peasants could have good kit as well.
I love that. I love that. There's
You can
look-
an
you look-
aspirational point.
And then everyone mistakes me for a knight, so it's
Yeah,
it's
because the peasants wore sacks and the knights had
Yep.
kit.
Yeah.
exactly.
Oh,
But,
that is a potato sack.
Oh, bless. But no, I put people though who've chosen like something that's a bit more really specific to a setting. Like in our warband we had a damsel of the lady, which is a very Warhammer specific sort of thing.
Extremely
Though you can
specific, yeah.
Exactly, but there are things you can do to adapt that into the setting kind of. It's tricky though, and there is a bit of a loss. Or, you know, for certain knights of a certain background, it may be a little trickier when you don't know, well, we don't have the lady, and we haven't worked out yet what the equivalent watery bint is yet. You know, how do we... what do I do now? It's a little tricky. And it's an unfortunate thing of, like, if there's a setting change, if you've invested more into the specifics, you're going to suffer a little bit more. But at the same time, it's fun to get weird with details, so you just got to take risks
Yeah.
and try and hold on to some
Yeah.
bigger things if you can, so you don't, you know, have to feel like you need to sell your entire kit every 10 years. I don't know, or however long the cycle is. I've heard several variations on how long the Battlegames setting cycle is.
It's more than 4 months.
It's more than
Yeah,
4 months. Most,
more
most
than
are
4
usually within 7 to 10 years is the current repetition. For a
I
couple
reckon
of months.
7 to
that's pretty
10 is
good.
probably fairly accurate across battle games.
Yeah,
We're aiming for that to not be the case, but who's to fucking
you know,
Let's
Who's
be
to
honest.
fucking know?
who's to say?
So you reckon you maintain character across setting changes? You're not like, settings changing, let's write new characters?
We're definitely trying for people to.
No,
like one of the big
I want to
promise-
hear
yeah.
Mads' one.
Oh, go, please.
Oh,
sorry.
for me. Oh
Yeah, for
gosh,
you.
Ghost Town.
Oh god. I mean, I feel like for this specific character, so Sylvie Lipazon, not so much of a free write, but there are like adjustments to details. So, for example, I initially had running away from Bretonia for the specific reason of, what was it again? It was essentially that she'd stolen like I think a yeoman's sword or something kind of petty, and she was a bit willful and went to leave, which is inherently also a crime if you're a peasant, because you're not meant to be away without leave.
leaving
And so
is
she can't
bad,
return.
Yeah.
Oh no, and there's a bit of a secret. And I'm like, well, that doesn't work now, so she needs a new secret. And so I have had to do some inventions with the consent of some friends. They're working on backstories, and you know, now there's a much larger reason why she can't return to Bretonia, or the new Bretonia. Avalon, I think, is the running title. That, from what I have heard from our secret chats, but it's very
Secret chats.
the secret French chats, the French underground, if you will, and you know, it's sort of working it out. So there are definitely differences a little bit, and it's given a couple of more freedom. So Sylvie is sadly no longer going to be a peasant for much longer for in-character reasons. She's been given, sadly, the motivation to become a squire, finally. Someone forced her.
Why is this? It's okay. Yeah.
She's a very. It makes a bit more sense. It's partially because I am a stubborn person, and partially because she was not terribly impressed with the Knights of Bretonia.
Shock. Knowing the
Not-
Knights of Britannia, shock.
Yeah, especially in Sudenburg. But now there's less reason. It's like, well, there's a benefit here. It's a bit more flexibility, and I can explore new avenues.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like, oh, now I've got more ideas for characters because we've got a shiny new setting. Anything possible. And I'm excited to see, is like, maybe I'll find something entirely new that sounds really...
Yeah. Okay. So we have our couple of quirks, our 1 or 2 quirks, our 2 or 3 character traits. We've got our warband, I guess. We've got our fighting style. And I think there was something you touched on there for a second that I think is really valuable to making a character, which is make it in concert with the people around you. Right? Like, making a person who has done all this stuff is fun and interesting and all, but what is better than that is a person who has done all this stuff with person B, who doesn't want anyone to know about it and calls the first person a liar, even though they did definitely do all that stuff.
Exactly.
Right? Like, writing a mercenary is all well and good, but writing a mercenary trio is much more interesting. Like, the one musketeer is not an interesting person. It's a
pretty
little
boring.
bit interesting. But the 3 musketeers, that's fire, right? So what do you reckon? How would you go about grabbing people to involve into that characterization?
I would say part of it starts in a either a social sense or like an idea that's split off from something like having the change settings and like, oh, I really like this idea. Oh, I too like that idea. Let's go chat about that, which is happening a lot. Like there are many, many, many wildly secret chats that are occurring, which is a great time. And I'm just trying to make sure that as many members of my national story team in said chat so that things can get fed back to us. We're like, that's a great idea. Let's reinforce that. Or why are people writing mythical fire-breathing donkeys? Like, why do these things exist? Do we need to make these things exist in our new setting? Let's talk to that group.
Yeah.
Whereas the other one from personal experience has been, I've sat down with some friends. We're like, we're changing from one warband to band because the old one's kaput, as happens with warbands and the cycles of them.
Yeah,
like, what do we want to
those
do?
ones
Like,
last about 4 months.
Sometimes they do. And it was just that kind of, well, we're going to go in, we're going to be 3 brothers, and each of us is going to have a skill and just lie what the other 2 have. And it was just that process of 3 brothers just continuously lying and being really silly and continuously trying to story top each other at the end of an event. And it was a very dumb series of years, but it was a fun, wild time.
Actually fantastic. Matt?
Yeah, I think just have, it starts with your real friendships, connections in that LARP, and just when you're talking about it, just to work out a reason to interact and things to confirm or deny about each other, or things to do to each other. Like, with my character, like the other members of the warband, like Zoe, she plays Lady Mia, and is frequently ordering Sylvie around to do the questionable things. And, the last quest ended up chasing me about 2 or 3 times around town, through the mud. When I eventually refused to give her something, and so just you get to like work on these little dynamics and things you know about each other, because you end up talking when you're on a Friday night about it as you're developing characters. Like, like talking with my friend Joel, who plays a knight, about like, like I could have, been from this, a servant of this line of your royal family or what have you, and therefore you know about this, and therefore it doesn't just exist in your mind as your backstory that no one really is going to know probably, and now someone else knows it, and then people might get a glimpse of what's going on inside your head, and that's nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun because you've just got those opportunities of you can either have those moments at an event where there's a lull and you can just turn to the person next to you who's built a character with you and just talk about something absolutely silly that only the two of you would really have an idea of, or at least they're going to yes and you ideas like, hey, do you remember the time that we fought that giant goat and it ate you? And it's that kind of conversation of something's happening, but it's the beauty of LARP where people can hear. Like you're not in a vacuum. People can hear, and they have the opportunity to either question and respond, or to then mention that to someone else. Like I have heard some absolutely wild stuff about, again, co-captain Greg, when I've had the opportunity to be kind of riffing off one of my friends, Kenyon, when he has the opportunity to be the other co-captain, and one of us was essentially the mouth of the law, and then one of us was the boot of the law, apparently. But then it turned into things like we could talk to ghosts at some stage. One of us was a necromancer. The other one was some sort of servant man. And then it's just wild things that people would listen to and hear and kind of play out, where we've just been sitting down having a talk whilst signing things or writing up documents or charging people to go find this person who's a criminal because they've done something.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of that LARP where even in combat, you could sit there and shout at something on the other line, and that banter is a roleplay opportunity alongside of the fun that happens with our kind of competition, which is just great.
Yeah. So we're like building this partly in conversation beforehand, and partly in ongoing play, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
opportunistic.
I think opportunistic, right?
Yeah.
Going, okay, what if there was that time where you got eaten by a goat? And then both players are like, yeah, that happened. And now that's what's going on, right? Like
prove me wrong. You weren't there. You didn't know it happened. I didn't explain why I'm here. An event happened, and now there's causality later.
And now there's causality. Now we are in a situation where way back when you got eaten by a goat.
And now I hate goats.
Oh,
that's why you're insane, and that's another character trait. Like
it could be.
Could be.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. Okay, so we are building our character across half a dozen different things now. And so I guess the next step is to go, what ways can you find to express that character outside of just what ways you're hitting somebody with the wacky bats, or whether or not you deliberately get killed real early, or how incredibly cool your healing is.
Some are very cool.
Oh, mine was the coolest. I had the single best healing mechanism that's ever been seen. But yes.
Go on.
Yeah. I'm curious.
You can't set up such a beautiful thing and then just let it sit there.
I can. So, beyond all of those things, how can we find ways to express our character? And how can you sort of reinforce that when you're playing the games? What do you do that's in your character?
Well, I think having a little bit of a goal is a big part of that. So, in addition to obviously the beat up the other side goal, you have your own personal little bit of agenda or vibe of like, I am a social climber, or I really want money, or, I deeply want to annoy my friend whilst they're trying to do this extremely serious roleplay in front of me.
Oh, yes.
As it so happens.
As should happen.
I basically do always want that, yes.
Yeah. It's always fun to do that, but like having a bit of a goal means you'll likely get into situations that get aggressive. Like if you're wanting to help, your friends exploring in the wild, you're out there, you might find something, and then you get to choose how your character interacts. Like that's a spooky tree. The choice of should I go and tell someone else, should I keep quiet, or should I go touch the spooky tree is an important character expression, as I unfortunately found out. And it's not a generic example.
No.
No.
It's just...
No, spooky
Thanks,
tree.
Josh.
Spooky tree decisions.
Spooky tree decisions are the best kind.
Those
but,
are the best decisions, yes.
Yeah,
Right.
having a little bit of a goal and just sometimes, I don't know, I think like choosing not to fight is another example I had from the recent LARP of the character, I guess more of our company was expressed in this action, but rather than sieging an enemy, we instead killed their mare, and I think that was a great expression of character on our part.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes you can choosing to do things, which is always good, but
Choosing
I don't know,
not
refusing to
do
fight.
things.
Yeah, refusing to fight, like, or I don't know, like there's so many little ways it can be done. Just even in how you respond to someone hitting you. Like, are you angry? Are you, congratulating them? Are you indifferent? Like, little moments start to build it, and I think that's like even in the Friday nights you do that. And then in Quest, there's so many more opportunities, and they're really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd kind of add to that with some of the other aspects of like your kit is a huge identifier of who your character is. Like, you've got your shared components with your warband and how you blend into them with whether it's you all wearing the same type of hood or you've all got the same type of tabard or you all are a sort of board because you're all knights and you've all got a cool cape. There's the range that's there. But then, even in an example like that, when I had the opportunity to jump onto that warband before the second knee reconstruction, it was okay. Well, I'm a knight. I have a cape. I'm a sword on a board, but I get to choose what type of heraldry I have. I get to choose my colors. I get to choose the symbols or the icons. And here I am putting a greyhound on almost everything that I can for my form of heraldry. So I was just running around and so why is that a greyhound? I'm like, why is it not a greyhound?
Why would anyone choose anything else?
And that's kind of those components of you get to express parts of who your character is with what they wear. But it's also not just clothing. Do they carry around some sort of lockets? Or do they have a bag with cards on them in the middle of a Friday night fight where they just stop and they pull out a card and I'm like, highest card wins? Like there's a whole host of ways for you to embrace what makes your character them alongside the more classic components of, well, what weapon do they use? How do they fight? How do they express themselves on the surface? And in small moments like we see on a battle game, it's the small little fun things that allow us to kind of connect with our wider groups and have some really shared identity, but also then, oh, that's this person from this event, and you can tell from their terrifying necromancer, which means don't go near them, or you're not going to have a bad time. But then at our events, as Maddie was saying, there's just such a multitude of pathways that you can do depending on whatever you want to do.
Sure.
I mean, like, I've only got really experience with the more combat and bardic exploits. There's a whole world of like mage roleplay that happens in shadows, and that I occasionally hear whispers of and get very confused. Like there's a lot of ways to engage with it.
I mean, yeah. That is the vast majority of my gameplay has been the Shadows ones. I mean, there was a time when it was a common criticism of Battlegames, both Swordcraft and Exodus. I think it was before most of the other ones existed, where the argument was that the only people who got to affect the actual story were warband leaders. Is that still the case? Was that ever the case? Is this in fact bullshit made up by chumps?
I would definitely say when we're talking about older versions of Swordcraft, especially things like Althea with our old Sagas game, that was an entirely warband orientated process that certain people got to be involved in if they were the 2IC and they were in those types of meetings. But that was just big generals playing big battle map, and then everyone else just kind of got involved in it. Then I know that when we were in Warhammer, there was definitely an element of that, and I'd be really curious to hear a lot from Ads as a 2IC, that when we played factions and there was ways to win town, and then your warband got to have town for the next event, and you got to theme it up and do dumb stuff. There was a whole host of those components, but we're damn well trying to get it out to as many as possible. Whether that's successful or not, that's just up to whoever's blunt enough to say it to my face, really.
It's a failure, Brett.
That's
I'll
okay.
forward
I
my
love
essay
that.
to
Failure is
everyone.
great.
No, I'm
also-
being silly. I don't know. But also, I think that it's just important to note that... So, if you're feeling like there is game for your warband leader and your 2IC, how can you get yourself involved?
Well, I think whether or not you're 2IC, I mean, like, I came in when the faction mechanic started, and I actually found that was very fun for getting everyone involved, in the sense that you are all working towards the goal. As like a 2IC or a warband leader, you are affecting it a bit more, and you've got the company commanders above that, kind of, you know, no real power, but all the roleplay power, sort of way. And with that kind of direction, you all got to sort of chip away at the goal. And yes, your leaders were doing a lot of the bigger conversation, but in the meantime, everyone else got to have fun running caravan, currying favor, stabbing people, stopping dwarves from victimizing people, whatever happens. And I feel that was a great way to sort of spread it. It's still, I think, the downside, I think, is because information is never perfectly transmitted in any circumstance, and in Swordcraft it's even worse. And so it can feel like you're left out because the communication is a bit off. Like, the mages down the street blew something up, and everyone is like, "What?" And it's like, everyone could have more fun if more people knew about it. And it's just like, that's not really the fault of the design. It's just like, it's hard to communicate, and that's something that can be eventually, improved. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know, getting into it, aside from having that ability to direct people and affect the story, I think it is just by, finding opportunities and listening in and working it out from there. And you can sneak your way in. I've seen like people who don't have a warband and are just coming in for events and are basically just going out and being extremely nosy, and are managing to get themselves in the middle of things. Like I've watched someone I know who plays a character, I think it's Yasmin, and I periodically annoy them in character by treating them very irreverently whilst they're a very serious character. And they're constantly learning way more than I do and having a fabulous time. And they don't have a warband and are just like a random person, essentially.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's like, you got to have a self-drive to do it, which is grunting. But there are ways. I don't think it is so much just the warband leaders. I think it is skewing more towards playing a lot of players. But also there's a lot of people, so...
Yeah, like, I'm not...
Results may vary.
Yeah. That's how surveys work.
Yeah, and I will be sending you my 6-page essay at the end of the week on why...
It's not the first one that I've got, and I'm happy to read it.
It's actually why Brett took that job.
Yeah.
Mostly he just wanted...
Didn't get enough from your student.
He just needed more 6 pages.
Just love negative feedback, yeah.
More. Well, I mean, all his students love him. That's the problem. Like, they all just give him positive feedback all the time. All he hears is good stuff. That's right. LARP Hecklers says that every LARP runner loves getting a 6-page essay, and they should know because I sent them several. Domestic Sausage, welcome to being first-time chatter. It's great to see you. This is a great time to remind everyone to follow the stream because I like numbers and numbers make me happy, and everyone would like to make me happy. We've got a couple of minutes, and then we'll jump to a break. When we come back, we will talk more about building context. We've talked a lot today, or this so far, about making your character and who your person that you're interacting with the world is. And we've just started at the end there talking about plots and how to make plot. But I think that just going, okay, if you're feeling like the plots are only for the warband leaders, then you need to find a way to force yourself in, is one way to do it. Another way might be to make your own plots and invent new plots, or find out who else is making plots and get into those. But we'll talk about that more after the break. For now, is there anything that either of you would like to add or ask before we go to break? Fantastic. The best healing ever, by the way, was that I would just do affirmations, and I would tell people that they're loved and valued, and that people like them and they're important. And then they would cry on the battlefield. It was great. Yeah. You just got to sit here and listen to somebody say nice things about you for like a minute before you're allowed to go hit things.
I would hate it so
you found
much.
the kryptonite for every socially anxious nerd.
Oh my god.
You should do it to the enemy, actually. There's a new strategy unfolding. I just get to yell a positive affirmation.
Absolutely. All positivity all the time. All
Oh
right.
my god.
We're going to cut to a break. It's great to see everybody. I just want to show everyone this photo before we do. Where are we? There we go. No. Oi. I'll work out how to do things. There we go. Here we go. This is
I've seen this photo before.
This is
I reckon
my
it's
backyard. In here's Mick, who founded the Free Company. Here's Tim, who founded the Undead, and there's the Jeffs and Nelson.
And Phil in the middle. That's all
Phil
of the
in the
bigs.
middle.
Aww.
What a time!
What a time! That was when we were all like, "You guys are dumb. This is a dumb idea." Okay. Welcome back, everybody, to the Immersive Arts Twitch stream, episode 10, where we are talking about finding story and plot in Battlegames. We have with us two excellent academics who do, in fact, spend the entire break time bitching about their students. Not like me. I spent the entire time saying how wonderful my kids were. Sorry. Hi, I'm Josie.
I can neither confirm.
I will mirror that statement.
I'm here on behalf of Immersive Arts Melbourne, who are a group of LARPrites and people who want to see more LARP and see better LARP. Thank you, Grandmother Toad. I'm here with Steve and Mish.
I'm gonna have to make a character called Mish now.
Oh, you are. You should.
It's gonna happen.
Oh,
Sure,
please do.
Steve
You should
somewhere.
make
It sounds
make a
like
character called Mish Steve, and Brett. You should make a character called Steve Mish, and then you two should be friends,
We can make that work.
or nemesis.
Oh.
So many opportunities.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I've lost all of the things. Would you two like to introduce yourselves?
Yep. I still want to start with Steve.
You should. Go ahead. Fuck it.
My name's Brett or Robert, depending on where you know me from, if it's Facebook or in person. I am the national head of story for Sawcraft, and one of the members of the Sawcraft story team for Melbourne. I've done Sawcraft for what feels like forever, but started in 2013. And I've done many, many other LARPs across Australia. I love all LARP. The LARP is great.
LARP is cool. I'm Maddie, also known as Mish, I guess, now.
It's going to happen.
The artist formerly known as Maddie. And I've been a swordcrafter the last 3 years. I am one of the 2 IC for the Shields of Parabon, one of the warbands there. And I am a very beleaguered chemist in real life.
Fantastic. Okay. So, I did a great job of getting myself together before the break ended.
This is on you. You did this.
I did do this.
Sarah.
This is entirely my fault. Welcome to the chat, Grandmother Toad. Please follow the stream. I like numbers. Now, also, thank you for completely... You're not sorry. You're pleased with yourself. I can see it in the text. And that seems reasonable. So, we are turning up to our war game. We've got some friends. We've joined our friends. We've decided sort of how we're going to interact with the game in terms of what forms of violence we're going to be using.
Excessive is the answer.
And frequent.
Mm.
I need to have just LARP weapons here so I can wave them at the... Anyway, they're all in my bedroom. The more LARP chemistry...
Where weapons should be.
No comment.
Okay. So, we have a character. They've got a quirk. They've got a couple of key traits. They've got a cool costume. That informs the kind of person they are. They've got a warband that informs where they're from and the kind of game they're going to be playing. Their weapons or their shields or their magic stick or whatever. Perhaps they have a spear. Perhaps they have a magic helmet. They might have a little backstory. They've got some interactions with people, and they have they're working on that character. And so then they go, okay, this is great. I've got my person. I'm interesting. How can I get involved in plot? What plots can I find? The big game plot with the battle map and all that is being played by their warband leader or whatever, or their head of camp or whatever happens to be, and they're just starting out, right? So how can they get involved in some plots?
You want to take a stab? Maddie first?
Take a
I'm
stab.
super curious.
Maddie loves taking stabs at things.
I do. It's one of my better traits. It's always what my parents said. But well, like when I go back to starting with my first quest, it is fortunate that first there are things that are kind of signposted in various ways. There are various guilds. So like there's a Bard's Guild, there's a Magic Guild, a Healer's Guild, there are Knights, and there are various associations, there is a library. So going there and asking what's happening and was kind of my first approach. And trying to kind of work out, alright, how do I find things to do and what does that mean? And that's a good way to sort of practice getting involved in that kind of thing. Because you need to talk to people in a LARP, unfortunately.
It's the point of
it. I know.
But I will back that up. That even the Swordcraft will have those guilds and the library and so forth. Other festival games will have similar things or equivalents. There will be organizations that people run and places.
Yeah, or even just asking the other group of people dressed differently to you. Who are you? What are you doing? And
Yeah,
working out if
sure.
you like them or not can sometimes be a good way to do it. Yeah, like, and being self-directed helps with a lot of these things. Like, I was very determined. It's like, all right, my character wants to be a bard. I'm going to start playing in the street, and then lo and behold, the guards want to arrest me for not having a permit, and then I find the Bards Guild as a result of that after paying fees, and you can then go from there to find new quests.
Yeah.
But
Or you can get in debt and find out how to pay those fees, right?
exactly, or not pay them, as the case may be. I choices. You know, these character choices. I think, yeah, going in and just trying to poke around and seeing what comes out helps you find what's there and what appeals to you in terms of a plot. And like a lot of the rest of the plot, like when it comes to getting into bigger, spookier things, it is very opportunistic and a little random. Like it can just be who you end up speaking to, what tasks your warband leader has you do that ends you up in a position to have an opportunity to involve yourself. I was very lucky in my first quest. I ended up being involved in a roleplay with one of the major NPCs, which was really cool, and I got to make a cool choice, which was very confronting and very hopefully good for the town. And
They're
you know, you get
relevant.
to...
It doesn't matter if it's good. It's plot.
Yeah, exactly. It's plot. All plot. Good. Bad decisions are good plot.
Yes.
That's certainly true.
And I think that's really important to remember, right? Where, like, your example of the getting arrested for not paying your fees, which a lesser role player would have taken as a setback or a thing that says you can't do that. Right? And the way to deal with that is to go, actually, this is an opportunity.
Exactly. And like sometimes even if the mistake is an out of character, you can still kind of
Oh,
roll
yeah.
with. It's like, you know what? This is a choice now, and that's okay. We're doing it now. Oh, hi Zoe. I see you in the chat.
Incidentally, Miss Madness's Sudenberg's favourite peasant was caught by the auto mod, and
Oh.
I'm not quite sure why.
I always knew you were
Anyway.
a robot, Zoe.
Welcome to the chat. Feel free to follow. We're great. So the yeah. Sorry, Brett. Did you have anything you wanted to add to that?
It's definitely like I'm obviously the other side of the table where I'm with our various Soulcraft teams that have existed over the last couple of years and the iterations of it. We're trying to put out as many seeds as possible, whether it's big story stuff, whether it's middle story stuff, whether it's just I've got a random NPC walking around selling candles, and people are like, "This is a cool candle. What does it do?" And she'll just say, "Oh, it keeps your dreams away," and that's it. And then people will do random stuff with that as they choose. We try and do a whole host of on such a scale where a lot of the pre-quest prep is just mind maps of just absolute nodes of randomness everywhere to kind of provide the opportunity for a player who's super kind of steadfast and really keen to kind of throw themselves into anything will find anything for them to do, but then also work with our guilds and work with our groups to kind of push and prod and provide more concrete, consistent story for players who really like to follow something through and to really find something to sink their teeth into quite long. We've made that choice to go away from the big battle maps and like the factions to the extent of what they used to be prior to COVID, when it was just faction to win town. We've put company leaders in at the moment, and they're about disseminating information because it was what we thought was an easy vehicle. Hey, you represent this group. We're going to feed you some perspective, take it back to your group and disseminate. And not everyone's perfect. That doesn't always work, and we've learned that. So we're putting in various other ways for that very similar information to kind of. That's lessons learned from other LARPs and lessons learned from our own experiences and feedback from our amazing community, which is really good. The Guard are a creation of myself and a friend called Kenyon, which is just a different reiteration of Terry Pratchett's The Guard. And like many other guards before us, we kind of went that classic light NPC role that any person could walk up to and ask what's happening, and we could direct them anywhere. Or if someone looked lost, we would go and start a conversation, whether that's, you look lost, what's up? Would you like me to go somewhere? Or, hey, you're playing music on the street, do you have a permit? And it's that kind of process of, all of a sudden, there's a whole host of interactions. Where do I get a permit? Why do I need a permit? What's the consequence if I don't have a permit?
What
and
if I stab you with this knife?
Yeah, that's a shame. That would be a different type of crime, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
But then it's a lovely bit of roleplay, and that's the beauty of it.
Story. I was going to say, because I imagined your position as quite zoomed out.
Yes.
In terms of your writing and the stuff that you're doing. That's not necessarily true. Like, some stuff is zoomed out. Do you want to, like, give everyone a bit of a window into that?
Yeah, like, there's two components of it, obviously, with the National Story team that's come out of our New World shift quite recently, taking the advantage of the fact that, I was in hospital with a bad leg, and had the opportunity to absolutely manage a chunk of our core foundation with our executive and then take it to a brand new team and say, this is what we want to do, let's do it. Which was a crazy time. But it's really big picture at that team level, where this is the consistency of the entire world. Then narrowing that down to, this is where our actual play takes place, which is what we've coined as our abandoned lands, which is the large peninsula where all of our play happens with our different chapters. So we're really trying to do a consistent model where all of our chapters exist in the same space, for the beauty opportunity of, if chapters wish, they can have connections and cause and consequence with each other if they want to kind of opt into that space. And some have, and some are playing in isolation. We've built the lore for that in a rough way that we're going to feel out for the next however long we need to kind of brain that out. But we also don't want to define a lot of things. Like, one of the big, beautiful kind of behind-the-scenes secret, not really a secret at the moment, behind the things that we've intentionally kept out of a lot of our documentation is that this empire that has risen and fallen, we've not specifically said what species they are. And that is intentional. They are not human, because we have not said that they're human. What are they? Who's to say? People haven't interacted with them enough, so they don't know. They're all in seclusion or some sort of self-containment at the moment, so it is what it is. The rest of our players are playing somewhere that's so removed from that location. It's world fluff that helps them interact with. People can lie about it. People can make stuff up. They can say whatever they want. People can claim that they are dinosaurs. Who's to say? Not me, because we haven't defined that yet, but that's part of the point.
So
whereas probably not
dinosaurs now.
Sorry?
They could be.
Yeah. Giant
I've
frogs.
just got to convince Jeff, realistically. But the other aspect of that is it then boils down to a chapter level, where when we approach Melbourne, I've had what we've 5-year plan. So we started in 2023 with 5 years of a long form story that we were going to tell over 5 events, and then there was ebbs and flows within that. There was some peaks of narrative that we worked out from a crazy long web of options based off of player kind of choices. There's nothing we've done that has been predetermined, which has been a really point of confidence for us, where the players will continually make choices that will either surprise us or confirm that they are delightful idiots, and we love that. And we kind of continuously end up with those negative kind of things, which is win.
As I don't know, Dr. Mish, who's a completely new Swordcraft player who I've just invented.
Yes,
Dr. Mish. Mish Steve Steve Mish, correct?
Yeah, Mish.
The two people we plan to be.
Yeah,
exactly.
So Mish Stevenson turns up to their first Swordcraft event. And they want to get involved in that story. They want to be one of the people who's making the plot happen. Is that possible?
100%. Like, and again, I say this with obviously the behind the curtain bias of trying
all
to
they have
structure
to
it that
do
way.
is click all the correct buttons and
correct, and that
be friends with the National Story team.
No, not at all. I honestly try to be as far removed as possible. Hence why it's either me in human clothes for most of the day, or walking around being a guard, pissing off my singular friends when I get the opportunity. Um, the idea is what we've tried to approach it is any person who's coming into Swordcraft, incredibly experienced more so than myself and has been playing it forever, or someone who's brand new, can access our story in a way that they're comfortable with. It could be, oh, there's undead attacking the town. I don't want to deal with that, but why the fuck is that happening? And then explore. It could be, oh, I ran into this guy and he's selling candles. Why is someone selling weird candles and why is no one asking questions? Kind of opportunity. Or it's the mundaneness of the world that we're building, where it's just like, oh, I'm involved in town life and this guild doesn't like that guild, so they're going to try and steal their building. And then that's their entire quest. The biggest, I guess, design philosophy for us is that we don't want a player to go in thinking that they can and have to do everything. We want them to be able to kind of go into an event and just hear about crazy shit that's happened, and to be able to go, wow, that was amazing. I've had an amazing, this terrifying thing, whether that's licking poisonous rocks or trying to throw bodies at horrible death. Who's to say? But everybody gets to do whatever they choose their path, because we've got a, from an external lens, we've got a really sweet spot where there's a lot of hard battle people at Swordcraft to help honor that kind of core component of what Swordcraft is, a battle game. But there's a lot of people that are really enjoying creating narrative that kind of helps really flesh that out more than just the skeleton.
Yeah. And it's great to hear that's happening. Matt, how much of that do you see on a local player basis, right?
Well, if nothing else, I've seen the candle person. Harass them.
I'm not.
I've seen
sorry.
your candles.
To be clear, I'm not saying that Robert's lying about it.
Oh, please do.
Like,
I'm happy for someone to call my shit.
I don't think you're. No, I'm. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, but like, there's a lot happening, right? How much of that do you see, and how much of that is possible to get involved in? It's obviously you can't get involved in everything. That's silly.
You cannot. Most of Quest is listening to weird things that someone else says happen, and or seeing it vaguely in the distance, running past you, and that will happen a couple times a day. And it's pretty fun to watch. People watching is a great time. The main thing I do when I'm busking, and I learn a lot. But in terms of, I don't know, like, what you can get involved in, you can get involved in anything you want if you're determined enough. But I think just wanting to throw yourself out there and figuring out how to do it is the main barrier. And so, because it's not thrown at your lap, it's not a dungeon master who's your friend throwing you the bone and having someone go to interact with you. You have to push. That can be a bit different if you're not used to it. And a little tricky. And occasionally, like, most people are very open to involving others in roleplay, but occasionally some people are like, you're not knightly enough to ride this ride, and so I'm going to ignore you. Which is characterization, but it is also it can be a bit of a bummer occasion.
It can be, right?
And it's not a real barrier, but I think, you could probably, I don't know, I feel like I understand about 25% of what has happened at any given event. And I think that's kind of good in ways.
It's a good number. That's a good number.
And that's just because a lot
it's
of
more
people,
than
like,
most GMs.
I've had about, I had like, what was it, 3 out of the 5 company commanders having a very important conversation about plot next to me in a tavern. And asked me to play something spooky and then didn't tip me. So you get to hear things that way, but it's, you get to, if you're really trying, get in a decent chunk from not necessarily seeing it directly, but maybe you see 10%, and the other, 10 to 15 you hear from other people. And then you discover, months later afterwards, it's like, oh, there was an entire plot where a building blew up, or what is this about the goat that ate co-captain Greg? I'm sorry. Like, and then you have a fun story.
The goat did eat that guy.
It
did.
Yeah, Grandmother Toad says people assume a thing is locked off to them until proven otherwise. So guess, and the GMs can't really disprove that. They can say whatever they want, right? But you can say all that. That doesn't convince anyone, really. What convinces people is seeing Chumpo McChumpface just go and get involved and do the thing. Or themselves going off and do the thing. But that's scary. So how can I, Chumpo McChumpface, that's me, and I've never roleplayed before, but I'm at Quest and I want to get involved, I want to do some stuff, and I've done all the character shit. How can I get into that stuff without, getting lucky and having the company commanders fail to tip me or whatever?
One of the things we try, and again, very different removal of concept, so it might be something that doesn't work, is we've got the event management builds in our new player trainers, who will take, obviously, as it says on the tin, our new players, and show them around and introduce them to, show them the guild, and say, oh, if you like this thing, go talk to these people, and we hope that it's as easily accessible as possible. And then, of course, there's the reality of time, and the people in the Healers Guild might be dealing with some sort of horrific... Someone goes to approach it, but we try to make a lot of really easy entry points that don't have to be you stumble across something, or something slaps you in the face, or you're chased out of town by something. Kind of the bigger moments of the story that you can't not see happen. Whereas it's that element of, if you're new and someone is able to notice, there's an amazing warmth of our community where they will reach out and they'll fold people in, and it's an absolutely beautiful thing to see happen every event. But it's also that, how do we make a game as clear and open as possible, because people don't read guides, people don't read event books, all of that kind of smorgasbord stuff. People don't listen to audio videos and that type of stuff going into the event about things. That's okay. That's human nature.
A few do, but
some do, and they're
the
fantastic people. Yeah. Exactly. So it's that kind of space of being able to capture and capably assess how well that is working, and then adjust it throughout the event as well.
Yeah.
Where it might be, okay, let's, even in a logistics sense, let's position some of the buildings closer to the road at the start of town, so that when people come and sign into the event, those groups are closer for them to engage with and to hear with more often.
Yeah.
Whether it's having and trying to develop more weather-friendly notice boards, so that you sign in, you get your wristband, you turn around, there's a big board that says, tonight in the Bards Guild, crazy poetry competition. And then there's a little poster next to it saying, most guy who killed Greg's goat. Like there's the range of things that are there, so that hopefully someone can find something that interests them. And then once that interest is kind of caught on, that'll allow them a pathway. Hopefully.
I think I think, like, from a player perspective, and it's hard when you're new, but I think the best thing, like, having those little new player badges really helps, because people around you know you're new and they want to help you. And so I think a good thing you can do for yourself, if you are struggling, change your mindset to get in there and do it, is to just find some friends and tell them that you're struggling, and get them to help you. And that's like a lot of what we as warband leaders kind of do during Quest. In addition to story things, we're there to support our players. And so if someone is new, I know, okay, they need to get involved, and they don't know what they're doing. And so you might try and give them little tasks, or knowing what they want to do. It's like, you want to be a healer. Can you go and talk to this person, the Healers Guild? I just want to check in on if they know anything, and they can kind of go for there to give them a push, or just to be standing beside them as their friend, Mish Stevenson, and and help Steve. Mish Stevenson? Yeah, I guess
Steve Mish daughter.
An unlikely duo, as help them get up the courage to go and ask, why are you holding a candle? What do you?
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Just finding the people around you to help you and
Because
to
there is
alert you if something cool happens. Honestly.
That's the
there
other
is
aspect of it too. Yeah.
quite a lot of work in being a warband leader or being a warband 2IC, where quite a lot of work is that your job is to distribute plot to your
Yeah.
people.
It's the main job you get every morning at Quest. Is like, all right, who's going to listen to the important things very quickly and remember all those things and take notes to make sure we're all on the same page. And then as the day goes on, keep a tab on that to some degree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Indigo Decay points out, like, the boards thing sort of sounds like the bulletin board in video games. Video games also often use lighting to highlight plot. We're talking about warband leaders and 2ICs who may as well be walking around with exclamation marks above their heads. Because they are just quest givers. Is there any other physical ways that are used to highlight plot paths? Are there like climbable trees with yellow paint on them, or?
Careful, this
We're
is the
allowed to
place
paint
that you
trees.
jump from. Yeah.
I have damaged myself trying to climb things at Swordcraft Quest.
I have no doubt about that, Josie. I have no
Yeah,
doubt
that
about that
sounds-
at all.
I damage myself regularly. Anyway,
Mm.
physical ways to highlight plot paths.
We've got a couple of things that I think of as our engines to do so. We've got our various meetings in the morning to help disseminate various points of plot, but that's a bit of an archaic one that we're trying to reassess and look at some other options. We've got our town cry, which is an amazing one. Story team to each morning kind of, here are some things that we would like you to seed into the world as you wander around and shout and cry. We work with all of our guilds to have them each have an individual long form story across the event, but they will have a procedural kind of path, depending on how crazy or how involved that is by the player base. It may kind of start slow and then go crazy, or it might finish on day 2, and that's been an entire time, which is really fun. I try and get a chunk of volunteers pretty early in the event so that we have a more heavier guard presence at the start, so the Monday and the Tuesday, so they can walk around and just interact with people and ask questions and be that kind of very generic, have you tried doing this? Why are you here in today town, sir? What can I help you with? Can I be of assist? Like, really kind of ham up a lot of that to kind of help the more obvious sides of getting new people in quite quickly.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably say the last one would be just the general use of our other kind of narrative devices of NPCs and that type of thing to cover as much territory in an ugly sense of the as possible.
Yeah, I quite like the town criers as like in character way to get a handle on what's happening. I think it's really fun, and like as a player, yeah, it helps me be able to notice. I don't know. There's a lot of little ways it's done, and there's also very obvious ways, like streamers on the ground highlighting an important spot, and you can figure out what that spot is.
What does that mean? Explain, streamers.
Oh, well, like, you might be a plot relevant area in the quest. So I think that's when we saw last Sudenberg quest was like certain areas it's like you see a tree, it's got some streamers in it, something's clearly going on with this tree because someone's put the streamers there. Presumably not kids. And so
Not this
get
time.
to work out, presumably. Yeah, one hopes. Long way for them to go.
Is it a ritual or is it a Halloween treat?
Exactly. You get to kind of work it out. So, like, obvious,
Yeah.
silly things. Obviously, you might need to go and ask someone, like, a GM occasionally, like, all right, but what do I see in character?
Yeah.
Can be useful in those cases.
Yeah,
But also just finding stuff, like, the amount of times you just poke around, it's like, this little item, it's got a tag on it. Like, you've got the little loot tags of, this is an item that needs to be returned at the end of quest, so you know it's important to someone.
Yeah.
And usually gives you some instructions on how to interact with it, and that's a great way to start. Like, I've found this, read the tag, oh, it's a fragment of an ancient dialect. I wonder who would know about that. I'm going to head to the library.
Yeah, fascinating. Yeah.
those little like a little fetch quest almost, or like collectibles.
Absolutely. Is that the
They're good
sort of
fun.
thing that you were talking about with environmental storytelling, Grandmother Toad? Like the little objects with tags? You're talking more about dead skeletons on toilets with teddy bears. Thank you.
Not on toilets, but
I appreciate
skeletons,
it.
yeah.
Both. I think there's
We could have
there's room
both.
for. Yeah.
Perfect. I was going to say, yeah, because I'm thinking of... Hey, Shani. I was going to say, I'm thinking of like Hobbit's Hoedown uses this bunting where they'll lay like paths of bunting between important places, or signs for important places. I've forgotten who it was. I went to something. No, it's gone. Don't worry about it. But no, one of the After the Fall ones was they had like spotlights set up around a tree,
That's right.
and it was just like this tree lights up at night, and you're like, "Fuck's going on here?" But we all knew to keep an eye on that tree, and so I think there's a few of those that are like that playing with lighting to highlight stuff. I think would be interesting in LARP.
Yeah, it's definitely something we've done on really low scale stuff, like little rituals at night time, and like
Yeah.
little spooky bits or ambient kind of portable speakers and those types of processes. And we we definitely have been investigating the ways to do that a lot more, working with other LARPs that are doing such amazing things in those spaces as well. And then
You
the
think of Dance
feasibility
of
of
Ribbons with the
correct.
ambient sounds.
Yeah, and then it's the way of looking at like how they do it and how others do it, and even groups like Drakenfest as well, and how
Yeah.
they kind of get some of their spaces, and then how do we do some of those things on a difficult to power site, given some of the shiftings in where we're at and how we do that. Generators, different parts of power, but where we're always trying to look to improve, or it's working with people like Andrew Peterson, who makes a lot of our monsters,
Yeah.
to make bigger and scarier and weirder things. Of
Yeah.
why is that 8 foot tall and coming out of the forest? I'm going to not go that direction anymore. And then it goes back in the forest, and you're like,
Maybe I should go over there.
correct.
I think-
So that signposting is super important, and there's always ways that we can expand on it for sure.
And if we're going back to Steve Mishsotter, who is trying to get involved in plot, they really are. They want to get involved
Really
in the
keen.
plot. They're so keen.
Go
We
get
love
it.
them. One of the things that I think is really important is not to care too much about self-preservation.
There's no death.
Right?
Go to town.
Like, you'll be fine. Like, if you play a character who cares too much about consequences for their behavior, then it's really hard to get involved in stuff.
That's a very personal statement from watching you at a couple of labs, Josie. Very
Yeah.
targeted comment there.
It's a lesson I learned from going to
Very
LARPs
fair.
and
Yeah.
caring too much about my own, like my character's self-preservation, and then going, hang on, I didn't do anything. Like, I lived the whole weekend. I didn't get hurt. And also I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Whereas my first ever LARP, what happened is I made a holy warrior, and I went down the hill and I met my best friend, who's still my best friend now, 28 years ago, and he saved me from some zombies, and then we went down the hill and we fought some more zombies, and we got to the big fight at the end, and then he ran away and left me to be eaten by zombies.
Betrayal.
And then I got eaten by zombies, and that character was dead. So I needed to write a new character for the next day. I wrote a new character for the next day, who also got abandoned by my friends and possessed by the Lich King. And this is the thing. I died twice on my first LARP weekend. I had 2 permanent character deaths on my first LARP weekend. And that's fine. I met some of my favourite people ever. And I had a great time. And I have this story afterwards. Like, you can just die. What's the worst that'll happen? Especially when you're playing, like, the vast majority of battle games and festival LARPs do not have permadeath. They have, like, death for 5 minutes or an hour at worst. So you'll be fine. Like, as long as you're not a dick to other humans, to other players, the in-character consequences aren't real. And when they are, they'll be good story.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you. It's one of those things where the difference between being uncomfortable and being so forthright and getting into a game from a perspective is completely valid and understandable. We all have those kind of components where we're not comfortable jumping in, but being it from a character because you're like, oh no, I don't want X to happen to my character is a really big kind of self-limitation.
Yeah.
Like I remember
really blocks.
Yeah, I remember doing that unintentionally at Dance of Ribbons too, where first game, husband died outside of the Amorian Tavern, so I was like, oh, I'm not going out to that building at all during the second event, and then that was a limiting play space because a lot of stuff happens there. So I was like, no, I'm going to change that. Halfway through Saturday night, traded all my memories away, had a great time. It was fun, and then bam, gameplay
back in, right?
Yeah. So it's one of those things where because Swordcraft is a battle game and it's hard, and it means that we kind of push that. There is no permadeath unless you as the player are making that choice for your character, and we honor that. We try and work with that player to make that a really fun, kind of good experience. But all we do with death then is we lead it into a consequence of not exactly something like soul damage. That's from books that I'm reading at the moment. But it's that kind of concept of consequence and fun roleplay from that. Oh, I died saving you. You owe me a favor. And it's that concept of, well, you didn't die. You took a mortal, so shove off your phone. There's a big range.
I won't be saving you
really
next
enjoyable.
time if you can behave
exactly.
Like that. Fuck.
Yeah. I'm going to abandon you to some more zombies there.
Make new friends.
Yeah.
Make new friends.
Yeah.
They eat you. Mads. Self-preservation. Is it a good thing?
Oh, overrated. I think in the first properly in-character event I went to, it was one of the Conquest ones, and drove up there and I died so many times that it was pretty funny, and I had to go up that goddamn hill.
Oh, that's always the worst part. Where they put wherever death is, or the death equivalent.
In my friend's 9 kilos of chainmail, which I agreed to wear, and but it was good because I don't know, I got to do fun things. I got to fight a rat ogre, and that's just the battle side of it. And then you go to quest, and it's like you might die doing something silly, but you don't really die unless you want to.
Exactly.
You get a little
it's
fun.
It's a good rule. You don't really die unless you really want to.
Unless you really want
you go to the
great.
spooky tent, and they do spooky things, and then you come out, and for the next little while you might, struggle to say the word purple. I don't know, like weird little things that are fun quirks, and you forget a little bit, and then you get a fun mystery. It's like, how did I wake up here? What did I do?
Yeah, what did I forget? That type of stuff.
There's like plot and story, right?
It's great. Yeah. We've also tried to, on player requests over the last couple of years, even kind of spooky little tent kind of consequence vibe, where if players like, oh, I want to play into that lasting consequence of death. Yeah. We've done some consequence stuff, which is just like, you now, something about your character that you had is now a little bit an adjacent or a twist of what it was. So if you had a trait, now it's the opposite of that, and that's an out-of-character negotiation with that character that they can just say, no, I don't want to do that, and that's okay. But we want to provide even more roleplay. I don't enjoy this death business, but it seems to happen to me a lot, so let's have some fun with it.
Yeah. I love that. I think that making games around that stuff is fun. But again, it's like that tricky thing where you want to make it interesting for people to die, but you also don't want to dissuade people from taking risks, because then they play in boring ways, and then they whine at you about how their game was boring because they played in boring ways.
Don't know what you're saying. I've never heard that comment in my life.
Not even one.
Not even once, no.
Surely not. No.
The other aspect I think we found kind of balances that out is trying to connect that to other moments of narrative as well. So if people are dying and they're fighting in a battle, what does the loss of that battle equivocate to in the story? Does it progress a track that all of a sudden the players have to fight against harder because of that consequence? Like we want to make everything hopefully feel more purposeful and more clear. Like we're trying to be as super transparent as we can with a lot of like the decisions going into quest, and then obviously post quest with some clarity around that as well. To be like, hey, here's how things worked.
Yeah,
have a look.
You want stuff to drive plot. You want stuff to drive story. Like, because these are supposed to be LARPs, not just sports, right?
Exactly, and it's a great balance. Mostly. When
we get it right, the balance is great. But because LARP is collaborative, it only works when everyone's collaborating. Which is why I'm talking about how do you find character and how do you find plot when you're going to Battlegames. Because if you don't go looking for them, they probably won't find you. Like, you've got 200, 400 people on the stage. No one's a main character. And there are people who would like to play these games and not get involved in the plot and not get involved and not have all that shit pushed on them. And so the people who run the games respect that and don't. Right? And so you actually really need to go hunting game if you want to find it. Is that fair to say, or is that just me talking out my ass? I don't know. Mads looks...
Well, I think you do need to go hunting, and there are players that I've seen who don't really want to interact with terribly much of the plot. They just want to biff and have fun with their friends and camp. And that's great. They have a good time.
Yeah, I'm here for those people, to be clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if it's a consequence that you don't really enjoy, you think it's going to limit you, or it's not how you want to play, you can freely ignore it pretty much all the time if you really want to. So it's like you're choosing to be annoyed by this consequence, and at that point that's a personality issue. And
no. Sorry. To be clear, I mean, like, there is a solid portion of players at any weekend event, less so when it's like a plot weekender, but there are still a couple. Or at any Friday night, they're there to hang out with their friends, or they're there to do the biff. The festivals, they're there to hang out with their friends, or go camping in costume, or they just want to go to bar night or whatever. And those are all extremely valid ways to play the game.
100%.
And the game runners do not want to be like, oh, ding, 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 everybody has to go to this thing right now, because it upsets all those people who are like, actually, nah, that's not what I'm here for.
Game. Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
And so, if you don't want the game where you just sit and chill, then you have to go looking for something else. Like, I remember when we were running Zeppelin, there was a couple of people who we kept on throwing plot at, and they kept on just deflecting it. And we're like, guys, like, why are you so bored at our game? Why are you having such a terrible time? You don't like any of our plots. And they're like, no, we love your game. We just like sitting and drinking tea in the pub. In the steampunk stuff.
Yep,
like, that's Zeppelin. What we want to do. We don't want to play that other stuff. So we have to keep sending it away. It's actually kind of annoying that you keep giving us this plot. And we're like, rude. Okay. And that's the thing, because at Zeppelin we thought we had to throw plot at everyone all the time. But when you've got 300 players, you can't throw blood around all the time, and it's better that you don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so my point is that plot can't be forced on new people, or on people who don't know how to find it. It can't be forced on them, because it would ruin the game for a significant number of people.
Yeah, we've tried to, especially over the last couple of years. And again, I'm happy to be called out by anyone. We've tried to have the approach where a lot of it's opt-in, so stuff will be either happening around you and you can completely ignore it, or opt in to kind of be involved in something, or someone will come up and say, "Hey, did you hear about this?" No, turn and walk away. Type thing, like, or it's the huge portion of our player base that are just there for a biff, and that's great, and that's we want to respect, and the way that works with our game still exists because, again, at its core, big battles. That's how Starcraft works. Those are its heydays, and we're trying to, even at the moment, kind of look at ways that we can encourage people who just want to be able to support them better by providing to do that within the model of our game as well.
Yeah, Matt.
No, I think I agree. You don't want to ruin someone's good time, even if you're trying to introduce them to a different good time, and you can't really do that. Because but it is tricky, I guess, because obviously I imagine, Brett, like when you're writing these stories and all these plot hooks, you're just like, but I wrote it. You look at it, it's cool, or something, and it's got to be a bit like, wow, guess I spent 2 hours of my life working on this NPC and everyone ignored them. Okay.
It has happened so many times, and it's just that kind of like, I'll just open a book and I'll be like, cool, did not give a shit about this story. In the bin, everyone got really distracted by this story. Circle, come back to this thing for next time.
Bring that
and
in.
It's just that learning kind of component, which is something that we develop over our process of trying to write stuff. Of some players are going to love this thing, some players are going to love that thing, other players are going to be like, why is this merchant giving me a weird coin with a face? What's that? Why does that happen? And that's their event. That is their event. I remember, this is probably like 2016 or so, I had some friends down from Brisbane come to Melbourne Quest, and they're like, we're just researching murders that are happening in town. We haven't gone to any battle, and we're just researching. And I was like, I don't fucking know what you're talking about. I have been out there in this mud hill of light every day, covered in orange mud from Kraal Castle. And what are you talking about with murders? And that was their event. Their whole event was no battles, investigating murders that someone had, which was a wild time, but that's great.
That is great, though.
Yeah, I want Starcraft to be a space where all of our players can find whatever they want from that experience around the kind of the components of what it says on our tin, really. Starcraft equal battle game with story. That's it. Engage with that however you choose.
Domestic Sausage would like to know if we've talked about the PVM model. We have not, because I don't know what that is.
I am happy to elaborate if you would like us to.
Please do.
So the PVM is the new model that Starcraft is taking after stepping away from Empire, where rather than it being a kind of a PvP type experience where it's player versus environment, we've kind of shifted it to just be player versus monster. So the big external horrible threats of the world are not the people you're with. They're external forces that are trying to do horrible, evil things. The internal issues and problems and structures are all of the fun politics and backstabbing and shenanigans and, I'm more famous or I'm more important because of this reason, but we should all band together to fight that encroaching force of undead for some reason.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we're shifting with that macro and micro level of scale and story, hopefully.
Less
to kind of plan that out.
Battle of 5 armies and... less Battle of 3 armies and more, hey, the orcs are attacking.
We got a lot of feedback about the old style of Quest, which was those faction-based of, I have this castle, you have that. I need to steal your flag so that I can have more flags at the end of the event. Yeah. And that was a great battle game. It was a lot of fun, but people didn't feel that it had a purpose beyond the battle game, which was part of that player base kind of not feeling included.
Yeah, that's what that was.
I'm very excited for the PVM model to see where it goes. Like, I really enjoy the scheming that goes on and all of that. I think it's fun, but having an additional goal of we need to fight this army, so I want to gain power to do what I want and think is best. My hope is that this will end up kind of gelling in a nice way. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm hoping it goes well. But
Me too.
I am expecting, it's going to be a lot of trial and error, and
We'll
fun.
come back in 6 months to do a reflection on the PVM model.
Reflection.
We'll see. We'll see.
If I can convince anybody to come back to the stream after I've misnamed everybody.
Hey, I've got a brand new character to play at my next event. What are we talking about? It's great.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I've got so many character ideas now. Like we got this. Next round of Fields of Honor.
Yes.
It's just
Can I change my character name to be Steve Mishton?
Steve Mish, Bard extraordinaire.
Man of the Triangle.
Amazing. No, you cannot. They're cousins. Okay. Sorry, Shani Mish's daughter. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, is there a problem? Shani Mish's daughter?
You could have multiple cousins.
We could. Everyone's
What the
cousins
merrier.
under one
There's so
label.
many.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
that is historically supported for
It
pretty
is. It's
unfortunate
true.
reasons.
Okay,
Yep.
Shani's not happy with this. That's okay. We've got like...
That's my life.
we do need to close up fairly soon. Our key... Who would like to summarize the key points of making a character and getting involved in a plot in Battlegames?
Mads, do you want to tackle this?
Oh, it's so generous.
I can if you want.
I mean, I could, but I mean, if you want to.
I am
How
happy
did
to
I know
go
this
first. I don't
was a
care.
quiz? I think the main point is go in simple, and with things you can hold in your head, like a few traits and a quirk and a costume and some friends. And don't be afraid to fuck up and poke the tree. Is my summary of the at least the first portion.
That was so good.
It's a great statement. I would reiterate
Thank you.
absolutely everything for that as well. It's about trying to design a space where people can just come in with as little as they need to find a space that they're comfortable with, and with the people that they're either coming in with or coming in and meeting as they go, and then it evolving across various forms.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing that I was going to add, was like the be open to whatever happened, and you're the kind of person who did that. So then go with it, and don't be afraid of the consequences of your actions.
Yes, certainly.
Fantastic. We will not have a stream for like at least the next fortnight, possibly another month. I have surgery on my voice on Monday and will not be allowed to talk for some time, which, as it turns out, is a negative for running discussion streams.
A little.
Interpretive dance stream is the next edition.
Or an enormous amount of placards held up in front of the camera.
Oh, there's potential there. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know. It'll be great. What do I want to pitch? I want to pitch getting involved. I want to pitch subscribing to the channel. I want to pitch the Vic LARP event calendar, where you can find out what's happening in LARP, and if you want to add your own event, please do. If you want to hear from Immersive Arts, there is a mailing list here. If you want to buy stickers from me so that I can get a cleaner to clean my house while I am recovering from surgery, please do. You can go there. Would either of you like to pitch or give away your contact details or your socials or your...
I'm pretty boring.
I am a noted recluse, really. But best of times. I will say, if you go to Swordcraft, run with the Shields of Paravon. We're very fun. Or Northland. They are also a fantastic time if you like hitting people with trident. And tip your bards. Or
You heard it
else.
from Mads.
Tip
Any
your bards.
warband except for the Shields of
hold on.
Paravon or Maudland. Terrible.
Tip your bards.
Or get the tip of the spear. Very good.
Yeah,
Truly.
tip your bards or get hit by a spear. Obviously, I am the national head for the story team for Melbourne, so anyone interested in volunteering across chapter stuff is more than happy to reach out on Facebook. My face is unfortunately splashed around a lot, as Manny said at the start. It is the nature of it, but yeah, we're always looking to help build our teams and kind of work within the scope of our multiple chapters. We're always looking for fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much to everybody who came and watched. We'll have a YouTube up sometime next week if I live. And
Josie.
what?
For us?
It'll be great. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night. Sorry about ending on such.
What an end!
Okay,
Look,
fine.
as we said, don't fear death.
Don't fear death. There you go. Don't fear
There we
death.
are.
That's the statement.
There are no
Oh, no, we've got to-
consequences to any
Wait.
actions as long as
We
you're not
have-
a dick to real people.
We have waiting music now. It's Don't Fear the Reaper.
Oh,
There we go.
you're trying to get me copyright struck off Twitch.
Correct. No, it's a nefarious agenda.
That does
The
sound
real
great, though.
bard is coming out right here. This is what happens when we don't get tipped.
The evil
Fair.
side of the Bard's Guild.
A nefarious agenda.